Alrighty, what's up? How's everyone doing today? It's Monday, January 13th, 2025, guys. It's crazy. Can't believe it's 2025. I'm still like stuck in 2024, guys, but let me know if my volume's good. Let me know if you can hear me. We're hiding in the shadows today, no webcam, but let me know in the chat how we're sounding, and then we'll get going. It's good to see you guys in here. Austin Penninger, Daryl, Anthony, Jungle, Motley, Simps, all set. Brett, Tattoo Destroyer. Hell yeah, man. So, man, what do we see here on the daily, guys? Market Cipher. Doesn't this look bullish, guys? Now, the VWAPs and Market Cipher on the daily are saying kind of two different things right now. And also, this daily time frame reading is at odds with a lot of gigantic Market Cipher time frame readings. So, like, yes, this daily looks bullish. Despite the money flow pouring out, we see the money flow pouring out. We know that. But directionally speaking, this looks pretty good, right? Well, look at these larger time frames. Like, look at the weekly. You know, we really haven't seen the evidence that this has picked up yet. In fact, we're losing the 60 line. And so this causes me to cast a little bit of doubt on that daily time frame wave reading, despite the fact that I've told you guys for the last year that the daily waves are like the best time frame to look at. And so look at the 2 week here. We've got a massive bear div here on the weekly Market Cipher as well. And so what these larger weekly waves are saying is that this move from like 70K to 100K has yet to be digested. It's overbought. You know, it could keep going a little bit, but for the most part, you know, we're not down here. You know, it's not a good time to tell your grandma to buy Bitcoin. This is the big boys only. You know, we're in the higher risk phases of the bull market. And so it's high risk to continue to be bullish at these upper reaches, and these weekly timeframes are still bearish. Now look at the monthly. This monthly is extremely telling, guys. Now we don't see much data here on this Bybit chart, but if we go to the lifetime of Bitcoin, you can see a lifetime of divergence and diminishing returns. And ultimately, you know, it's a little bit early. You know, we look at the day, we're only halfway through the month, right? So this is an early wave reading, but I'm coming out tonight to warn my YouTube audience that I would rather warn you guys of this signal early than have it clip down to the downside. You see that red dot and we're already a lot lower. So while we could go higher, and while this red dot is not confirmed yet on the monthly, would you rather react to a fire when it wakes you up in the middle of the night and you're sure there's a fire and then you escape the house? Or do you rely on the smoke detectors to tell you, yo, there's smoke in the house, there might be a fire? And so right now I believe that we're seeing smoke. We're seeing the signs of the house burning down. And this doesn't necessarily fit with a lot of tards on Twitter, like their idea of the cycle narrative. This is a little bit early. This is earlier than people are imagining, earlier than people want, which is why I believe this is such a juicy reading, because trusting in Market Cipher, you know, especially at these extremes, do you really think that if you sell your Bitcoin now, in a couple months or 6 months from now, it's not going to be lower, or at least these oscillators won't cool off a little bit for you? So yeah, maybe prices will be the same. Maybe prices will be a little bit higher. But what's likely, if you use Occam's razor, which is like the obvious outcome is probably what's going to happen. If you assume that the obvious is going to happen, then we are going to be lower in a couple months, and this wave is going to have to cool off. So, you know, given these bigger wave readings, taking them into account, we go back to that daily situation here. And ultimately, I'm casting doubts on this daily time frame until the year-to-date VWAP flips into support. So the year-to-date VWAP is a very important VWAP. It's a volume-weighted average placed on the starts of brand new years. and it often dictates what the market wants to do running out the gate. And so first we come out the gate, and the first thing Bitcoin wants to do is it wants to retest the previous month's VWAP. So we go ahead and we pump up to that December VWAP there, that teal line. But the monthly LeapFrog play, the fact that we like to go back to the previous month, is not the only LeapFrog that we have to be worried about. We do have to be worried about the quarterly LeapFrog. Since it is a new quarter, this threat, this dump down to 84K-ish is very real. And last night, when we were wicking down to like 89, you know, it could have gone down there at that point, but also there were some trend lines that I was alerting my VIP of. For instance, like if you just draw like simple trend lines, like look, boom, you see that? So if you're drawing trend lines and you take your profit on the trend line, you would have taken your profits down there. I held like a tard, so I'm still in my swing short trade, and I will remain in the swing short trade as long as we remain under the year-to-date VWAP. And so while this daily reading is very convincing, I haven't gotten confirmation over the year-to-date VWAP yet that this daily time frame is actually going to follow through. And not to mention, guys, the day has only just begun, so there is a long time left in this 24-hour session for the bears to take this back over. So we're going to zoom in a little bit on these small time frames. Now, one thing we notice is that a new week had just begun, since it's Monday today, January 13th. Yes, we do run the new weekly VWAP spawns here, and we do run underneath that new weekly VWAP down there because of a lot of the bearish indications we were already talking about. But what happens was a weekly LeapFrog. So we ended up pumping from this new weekly VWAP that just formed today or yesterday or whatever, and we pumped up to the previous week's VWAP. This is the VWAP placed at last Monday up here. And so this happens just like how price likes to revert back to the previous month or the previous quarter. We get these little weekly jumps. And so what I believe could be happening is just a little start of the week LeapFrog fill to the upside to spook the bears. But ultimately, I'm actually quite bearish because look, the daily LeapFrog today is bearish. If at any point in the next 24 hours we retest down here at this 92,400 level down here, then we satisfy the daily LeapFrog. So that you can see these green VWAPs. That's your daily VWAP that just started a couple hours ago. And then you have yesterday's VWAP down here. And we're also at stiff previous weekly and year-to-date resistance. So if the bulls can break out of this critical point right here, I start to get a little spooked. I start thinking like, okay, I'm gonna probably reduce my swing trade and take a couple $1,000 loss out of the risk of a short squeeze like that just might wick through. Basically a whole nother like leg up and another little like 5-day SMA uptrend may emerge, and we may have to adapt quickly. Not to say that the quarterly LeapFrog is over. You know, this dump down to 84K could happen at any point in quarter one. And so we have to always be mindful of this threat when we fall under the current month's VWAP here. But if I was a betting man, I would say that we're probably going to come down from this point, and that daily reading is probably going to get undone. And ultimately, we're at year-to-date resistance in an established downtrend. You see the 5-day simple moving average is still sloped down, right? And so, yes, the candles are closing over that little black line there. Let me make it an area so you guys can see. You can see the slope of this black area. This is our 5-day trend, is still down. For like, if you were to draw a line here, it's still sloping down. So I value that a little bit more than whether or not the candles are above and below. And so to me, the bulls have not pulled, they haven't reset the 5-day trend yet. The 5-day trend is still down for me. And we do have a daily LeapFrog, which implies that the price may want to come down to this level here, the previous day's VWAP. And if that happens, well, then your daily reading kind of goes by the wayside, right? Not only that, this Trump VWAP here, this little gray or silver line, this is the VWAP that we placed on election day. And so the Trump VWAP is a VWAP that we've been talking about since like middle December. And personally, to see this type of violation of that support, does it not imply that we are going to go lower from that point? Like it could certainly just be a little liquidity grab and we continue up. That is possible, but I wouldn't confirm that idea unless we're closing over the year to date. We have to flip the year to date, aka the January monthly VWAP, into support before I consider this just a little liquidity grab before we go up higher. And so I think people on Twitter are celebrating a little too soon. This is a scary, rickety time for the price. If you're a bull, you are at major resistance. In fact, Bitcoin looks like it's kind of top fishing up here. And look at Market Cipher's waves here. You see that like a green, humpy, good curvature here. Nice bear div. Price went up, waves coming down. This is suggesting the waves like Market Cipher on the 5-minute chart here is definitely adding some credence to like a short scalp down to that previous daily VWAP. Looking at the 10-minute, we see another similar div playing out here. Big thick money flow for sure. Big thick money flow, and the price candle still over the daily VWAP. So what you could do, guys, if you're thinking about jumping in on a little short scalp here, is you wait for some daily candle closes underneath the current day's VWAP. Once you get that with sufficient bearish divergence, I believe then you are in the clear, and it's a lot safer to make that move and try to scalp that 2.4% downward move here on Bitcoin. But some of you guys may be a little scared to short because of the daily time frame. So, you know, everyone has their own risk tolerance. It's kind of a indecisive, choppy month in general because it was a new year. First of all, there's so many possibilities. We could have a yearly LeapFrog for all we know. I hate even talking about this big picture shit, but this concept of leapfrogging from a new VWAP to the previous period's VWAP, you can apply it to any size time frame, even yearly. And so if the macro conditions dictate it, we have seen charts in the past do this move down to the previous year's year to date, which would put us down at 65K for Bitcoin. And then if you fall below that VWAP and the current year's VWAP, oh man, you got to start looking down here at previous year's year to date VWAPs for you know, like macro support. And so that is the bear market scenario. But we take it day by day. Right now we're still on top of the Trump VWAP. The quarterly VWAP is a very likely bullish bounce point where we could hit that blue line and just roar up to a brand new all-time high in an extremely fast period of time. And so before, you know, I'm an advocate for these lower levels, these lower macro VWAP levels. There's a lot more that I got to see, but it's cool that I get to come out here and show you guys these levels, because most analysts like don't have these dynamic volume weighted levels to rely on. And so if in the event of something terrible actually happening, whereas most analysts would be in the dark, not really knowing how low things could go, we do have the levels on this channel to catch the price, you know, depending on where the macro situation takes us. So, you know, for the time being, we're just digesting this this daily bullish reading. We're seeing if it's basically the daily Market Cipher wave versus the year-to-date VWAP and this larger quarterly LeapFrog play here. So we're gonna see which one wins. Say in the chat, guys, who do you think's gonna win? Are you guys on the side of Market Cipher's daily time frame reclaiming the year-to-date VWAP and then we squeeze the fuck out of these bears? Or do you think that the LeapFrog is king and volume is running these markets? What do you guys think? One with Nature says Market Cipher B. Sim says LeapFrog is king. I'm definitely leaning a little toward the VWAP, simps. I'm leaning toward the VWAP too. And like, if there was other time frames having Market Cipher, the daily time frames back, I would definitely err on the side of Market Cipher. But, you know, given these larger, like, look at the 3-day wave here, still kind of aiming down. 4-day, the weekly just lost the 60 line. And yeah, someone in the chat said money flows are trending down. So like, we look at this 4-day time frame, and like, I get that this price is so crazy that it almost it beckons you to ignore this divergence here, but I think that that's a grave mistake. I don't think that we should be ignoring this 4-day money flow absolutely pouring out. It kind of shows that these prices are unsustainable. So, you know, there's enough big time frame Market Cipher B readings to kind of take the side of the VWAP guys. And you know, it's almost not even like what I think. I have to abide by a rigid system because there are people who follow my ideas. And so if I am a subjective trader and I trust my gut instinct all the time and I just shoot from the hip, that can be exciting. I could catch maybe some big moves, catch a big knife, and I look like a cool hotshot trader to you guys. But since I have people in my lifeboat, I think it's more prudent to stay with the 5-day downtrend, to respect the year-to-date resistance, and ultimately to respect those bigger weekly and monthly Market Cipher timeframes. So I am scalp timeframe bearish and macro bearish. I guess what I'm saying here, guys, is if I was a betting man, I would say this daily wave is a bait. I think it's a bull. This is a product of bullish complacency. Now, on Twitter, I've been popping off because when you start bear posting, there are so many crypto cultists on Twitter. They'll come out and like start bashing you and all these things. And I actually didn't have people bash me on this post. It was mostly just supportive people. For some reason, like, your boy Nick doesn't have haters. I don't know if it's like the way that I choose my words more carefully, or I don't know if it's because like I actually am presenting data and not just being like a troll or a buttwort on crypto Twitter. Like, I come out and I say, here's a picture to look at, you know, here, this looks like shit, you know? So I'm bringing knowledge and I'm not being negative or sticking it to anybody. I'm just simply shining light on what Market Cipher is showing. But this post got 26,100 views. And so for an account with like this many followers, like, that was an insane post. So I'm gonna keep following up on this monthly wave reading. We've got 2 more weeks left on this wave reading. And it's gonna be really exciting how this plays out. Obviously, this is suggesting that, you know, in the coming months, we see downside. And, you know, it does look like a cycle top category wave. But I would say that before we call cycle top, let's just say that, you know, we've probably got a big like quarterly scale correction rolling through. But ultimately, like, I'm still bullish on Bitcoin. I'm not saying it's going to zero and shit. But you guys have to just know that, like, I did sell some Bitcoin. I told my VIP that I sold some Bitcoin, and nobody on earth can blame me for selling Bitcoin when the waves look like this. This is like, if you abide by a trading system whatsoever, you know, you wait for a signal just like this to sell in a bull run. And that's how you survive for the next big buying opportunity in a couple years. So that was just a prudent move that I made for myself. And I just felt obligated to tell others, but no one has to follow me in that decision. Now, another thing I've been noticing on Twitter is, oh yeah, Geo in the chat said, if I posted the same pic, they'd be trying to hunt me down by my IP address. That's true, Geo, but that's because you're a goblin, bro. Like, you go goblin mode and you become, you villainize yourself, bro. Whereas, like, I don't know, maybe, you know, don't blame other people, because I'm not getting the hate that you or other posters, like, look at Filiconi's post. No picture, no data, just fear. You know, imagine being so oblivious that you still believe a bull market's happening. Then you buy a massive dip thinking it's going to be a bounce, but instead of a bounce, it ends up going lower so hard that your portfolio is reduced to nothing. Welcome to the bear market. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I love Phil. You know, he's the man, he's the GOAT, and he's just trolling for engagement. Look at the engagement he got on this post. But I don't think this really like serves humanity. Like you it's like how you say things and what you say matters. But also the hate is good, bro. So keep being a troll, bro. But look at the comments on this post of his. You actually won't find a single comment that is agreeing with him. Unfollowed. Man is heavy trolling. Don't trust this guy. Phil is drinking. Imagine posting 43,000 times and not one time providing value. Imagine being left behind. Sarcasm. A guy named buy high, sell low said clown emoji. So there's a guy named buy high, sell low who thinks Phil Oconee is a clown. They're calling him bipolar. They're calling him retarded. They're calling him gay. So, so what we're seeing here, guys, is that 95% of the market participants are complacent. So when 95% of the market participants are complacent and the monthly wave looks like this, you know, do you really need to subscribe? Do you need to be subscribed to this channel, or are you able to make decisions for yourself? You know, and so like that's kind of where I want to leave you guys. You know, we could look at like altcoins, Ethereum. Look at the divergence on Ethereum's monthly wave. This is an even worse looking monthly wave on Ethereum. Do you guys see how this looks absolutely cooked on Ethereum here? Solana. Look at this monthly wave on Solana. So this is dreadful. Dreadful. Meanwhile, look at Fartcoin roaring up. Fartcoin today, soaking up all the money that should be going into Bitcoin and Ethereum is going into Fartcoin. Fartcoin rallies up to its year-to-date, goes up 50-60%, and I guarantee you it's going to crash from this point here because it's at declining year-to-date resistance. I really doubt that Fartcoin is going to break out. It's probably going to crash super hard here. What happens is that what's likely to happen is that full fill back to the previous month's VWAP, a monthly LeapFrog on Fartcoin. So let's look at Ripple real quick while I'm here. Well, Ripple's monthly. See, the thing is that this is what Ripple does. It pumps super hard, and it does not follow through. It always like wicks straight down to where it was before. Ripple's always done this. It's always wrecked people, and like that's why I've never touched it as a trader, because it never has follow through. It's just like bait after bait after bait. And I don't know if anyone else agrees with this or has experience trading Ripple, but it is a nightmare to trade. For instance, look how far away Ripple has ran from like just the previous quarter's VWAP, and how it has not had any kind of like retest of that previous quarter. And so it doesn't really behave. It just doesn't act right, man. It just ain't acting right. But you know what's cool about Ripple is it is over its year to date, and it is kind of pulling like its 5-day trend into kind of like an uptrend. So like it looks better than like everything else, but it's probably still gonna dump because it's Ripple. So you know, personally I don't touch it, but I had a guy at the gym tell me he bought some, so that was like a top signal for me in my personal life. Wow, holy shit. So I just switched to the S&P, guys, and look at the S&P 500 like making this move down to that previous quarter, which I have been an advocate for since like December. Dude, this is actually happening. So like the S&P really is getting this test of the previous quarter, the yellow Q3 anchored VWAP here. And so the S&P is not having a good time, guys. This, I mean, I've been covering this in my recent videos and streams too. Look at the 5-day area, the 5-day trend got pulled into that downtrend, and we did get that follow through there, guys. I mean, the S&P doesn't go into downtrends. The last time we went into a downtrend was back here. That was when we got like multiple quarters of corrections there. Back here we had a little one. That was kind of like a, once it bottomed on that year to date, it went straight up after that. But the point is we don't get 5-day downtrends in the S&P that often unless something major is rolling through. And we're getting that right now. And also the monthly looks just straight up overbought. So that's pretty much my update, guys. I want to keep it short and sweet, so if anyone tunes in later, it's not like a whole hour-long thing. But if you guys like the stream, then like the stream, goddammit. And drop a comment, and go ahead and follow me on Twitter and help me. If any haters start coming after me, I need your guys' help. And good luck in these Bitcoin. If you're in a Bitcoin short, how's that shit doing on the scalp time frames? Man, actually, Bitcoin is still fighting on top of the current daily VWAP. And so the short down to that previous daily VWAP is not really like a surefire thing yet. I would wait for closes under the daily VWAP to short this thing. But you guys have a good one. Peace.